Hello students, this is Nita Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, HIT Mangalore. So in today's session, I'll be discussing program number 7 from SSOS Laboratory, that is System Software and Operating System Laboratory. The subject code is 17 CSL 67. So in this lab, we completed first 6 program, and those 6 programs are related to System Software program. Okay, so here the name itself indicates 2 subject. One is System Software, one more is Operating System. So first 6 programs are related to System Software, and we already completed with that. So the remaining program 7, 8, 9 is Operating System programs. Okay, so today we'll be discussing the program number 7. So the question is, design, develop and implement C or C++ or Java program to simulate the working of the shortest remaining time and round robin scheduling algorithm. Okay, so experiment with the different quantum size for round robin algorithm. So before going to the program, so let us see some theory part, and you have already completed this. You might have studied this in operating system subject about the scheduling algorithm. So there are different scheduling algorithms, that means how the process can be scheduled. So process can be scheduled in different ways, and there are so many algorithms like first come first serve, first come last serve, or the shortest time first, shortest job first, or the round robin. So many algorithms you might have studied. So here they asked SRTF, that is shortest remaining time first. Okay, so let's see the problem. So before that, then see shortest remaining time first. So that means the process or a job which is having a less burst time. So burst time is also known as service time. Okay, burst time, BT, or it is also known as ST, service time. So the process which is having a less time, so we should allow that process to execute. The processor will allow that process to execute. That is the meaning. Shortest remaining time first. That means a job or the process which is having less time, so that process will execute. So that is known as shortest remaining time first. For example, assume there are 3 processes, P1, P2, P3, and P1 service time is 1, P2 service time is 2, P3 service time is 3. So out of 1 to 3, which is having less time? P1 is having less time. So first allow P1 to execute, then allow P2 to execute, then allow P3 to execute. Okay, and here in scheduling algorithm, actually there are 2 types. One is preemptive scheduling algorithm, one more is non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. So preemptive means which you can allow the process to interrupt. Okay, that means a process can stop execution in between. That is known as preemptive. Non-preemptive means you cannot allow the process to stop in between. Okay, so here we are studying a preemptive shortest remaining time first algorithm. That means in between we can allow the process stopping the execution. So that is known as preemptive shortest remaining time first algorithm. So the input for this is, it will take the burst time or service time as an input, and also it will take the arrival time, at what time it is coming. So that is known as arrival time. So if you know the arrival time and burst time, so you can calculate waiting time, turnaround time, and finishing time of the process. Okay, so now you can see in the screen here, so there are 4 processes, P1, P2, P3, P4. So these are the 4 processes. Okay, and they are given arrival time of P1 is 0, arrival time of P2 is 1, arrival time of P3 is 2, and arrival time of P4 is 3. Okay, so there are P1 comes at 0 time, P2 comes at 1, P3 comes at 2, and P4 comes at 3. And they given the burst time, the service time. The service time of P1 is 8, service time of P2 is 4, service time of P3 is 5, and service time of P4 is 5. Okay, so burst time is also known as service time. So let's see this, we call this as a timeline or SJF Gantt chart. Okay, so this is a preemptive SJF. Why we call it as a preemptive? Because the process once starts, we can stop the process from execution. So we call it as that means a process can interrupt in between. So we call it as a preemptive. One more, non-preemptive means once a process starts the execution, it cannot stop in between. That we call it as a non-preemptive. So here we are talking about the preemptive. So preemptive, see, the first P1 will allow in timeline or in Gantt chart, you can see here P1. So that means first process which will enter for the execution is P1. Why P1 is entering? Because arrival time of P1 is 0. Okay, at the 0th time P1 is coming. Okay, so arrival time of P1 is 0. Okay, so P1, assume it will execute for one unit. If it execute for 1 minute, the burst time is from 8, you should minus 1, because 1 clock cycle it has finished execution. So now burst time is 7. Okay, now burst time of P1 is 7. Now at time 2, I mean at the arrival time is 1, process 2 will come. Okay, process 2 will arrive. When process 2 arrives, what is the burst time? 4. And what's the burst time of P1? 7. So out of 7 and 4, which is having less time? 4, right? So which process should execute? P2 should execute. Okay, now P2 will execute. So assume when time is 2. Okay, here actually not shown, but just recall that. I mean, when time is 2, P2 will complete its 1 clock cycle. So that time this 4 will reduce to 3, right? So 8 is reduced to 7, 4 is reduced to 3. Now this is 7 and 3. When time is 2, arrival time is 2, P3 is coming. Even though P3 is coming at 2, we cannot allow that P3 for execution. Why? Because P2 is having less time than P3, right? P2 is having less than time P3. So we will allow P4 to, we'll allow P2 to continue itself. Okay. So even though when the arrival time is 3, this cannot execute. P4 cannot execute. Why? Because its burst time is 5, and P2 burst time is less than that. Okay, so what the P2 will do is, even though P3 is P4 coming at arrival time 2 and 3, we are not allowing that P3 or P4 for execution. Why? Because P3 and P4 is having more burst time than P2. So what the P2 will complete? Okay, because burst time of P2 is 4. Okay, so for it start of 1, burst time is 4. So at 5 it will complete. P2 will complete. Okay, when time is 5, so remaining is P1, P3 and P4, right? So P1 is 7. Okay, here the burst time is 7. So this is 9 and this is 5. So which is having less time? 7, 9, 5. 5 is having less time. So you should allow P4 for execution. Okay, now P4 at 5 plus 5, so 10. Okay, so now P2 and P4 completed, remaining is 1 and 3. So 7 and 9, which is having less than 7. So P1 from 10 to 7 is at 17, and finally P3 9. So 17 plus 9 is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay, 17 plus 9 is 26. So at 26 it will complete. So this we call it as an preemptive. So why the name is preemptive? See, even the P1 started at 1, we stopped the P1 for execution. Why? Because P2 was having less time than P1. Okay, so we stopped P2 from execution. Okay, so this is known as preemptive. So in the non-preemptive case, once P1 starts execution, we cannot interrupt. Okay, so we should allow 8 clock cycle for the P1 to execute, then only we can allow some other process to execute. That we call it as a non-preemptive. So here we are talking about the preemptive SRTF. It is also known as shortest remaining time first. Okay, so now what is the finishing time of P3? Finishing time of P3 is, at one time P3 completed 26. Finishing time of P1 is 17. Finishing time of P2 is 5. And finishing time of P4 is 10. Okay, so this we call it as a finishing time. Okay, so now how to calculate the turnaround time? So turnaround time is nothing but completion time minus arrival time. So turnaround time is nothing but completion time minus arrival time. So P1 it completed at 17 minus arrival time. So turnaround time of P1 is 17. Turnaround arrival time of P2 is it finished at 5. It came at 1. So 5 minus 1 is 4. Okay, and turnaround time of P3 is 26. It came at 2. So 26 minus 2 is 24, and P4 it came at 3. So 10 minus 3 is 7. Okay, so now how to calculate the waiting time? So turnaround time, waiting time is equal to turnaround time minus service time. Okay, waiting time is equal to turnaround time minus service time. Okay, so P1 that we'll discuss in the problem there. Okay, so that I will understand how to calculate the waiting time. Okay, so remember the formula, students. Turnaround time is equal to waiting time minus waiting time is equal to turnaround time minus service time. So we'll see one more problem, round robin problem. Okay, so what is round robin? So in round robin, so it is a preemptive algorithm, because we'll allow process in between to stop its execution, and we'll allow some other process to execute. that we call it as a round robin algorithm. Okay, so you can see here there are three processes P1, P2 and P3. Okay, so there are three processes P1, P2 and P3, and they given the bus time 4, 3, 5. Okay, so bus time of P1 is 4, bus time of P2 is 3 and bus time of P3 is 5. Okay, so here in round robin, the name itself indicates it's round. That means first we need to take a time slice. Okay, we call it as a time quantum, or it is known as time slice. Okay, so assume time slice is 2. For each process, we'll allow 2 units to execute. Okay, say P1, starting P1, arrival time assume it is 0, 1, 2. So first we'll allow P1 to execute for 2 units. Okay, so out of 4 it completed 2 units. So 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, next we'll allow P to execute. So it is P2, 2 means 3 minus 2 is 1, and we'll allow P3 to execute. So 4 plus 6, so 5 minus 2 is 3. So here 2 is pending, here 1 is pending, here 3 is pending. Okay, now we'll allow P1 to execute. So P1 from 6 to 8, so that P1 will complete its execution. So next P2, because only 1 unit was pending, right? So P2 8 to 9, P2 will execute. Then P3, okay, so we'll allow P3 to execute from 9, 10, 11, 12, 3 more units, so it is 12. Okay, so this is known as time round robin. Why round robin? Because P1, P2, P3 again will give a chance to P1, P2, and here P1 and P2 already completed, so we are allowing P3 to execute. Okay, so this is known as round robin. Okay, so here we'll see what is turnaround time. So turnaround time of P1. Okay, so at what time P1 completed? See, at what time P1 completed? So P1 completed at 8. Okay, so turnaround time, that means we here in round robin, turnaround time and finishing time both are same. Okay, so P1 at what time, because we are not giving a preference at what time it came. Okay, so it's in order and we are allowing the process to execute. So here see here P1 turnaround time is 8 and P2 turnaround time is 9 and P3 turnaround time is 12. Okay, so it is known as finishing time. So what is waiting time? Waiting time is nothing but turnaround time minus service time. Okay, so here P1 turnaround time is 8. What is a burst time, or it is on service time? So 8 minus 4 is, so P1 it is, so this is P1 4, P2 9 minus 3 is 6, P3 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay, so this is turnaround time and this is waiting time. Okay, turnaround time and waiting time. Okay, so this is how we are calculating turnaround time and waiting time in a round robin algorithm. And here in the previous hope it is clear, students, how we calculated the average waiting time. Okay, so waiting time, how you calculated here? So the process P1, so P1 completed at 17. Okay, P1 completed at 17, but what is the burst time here? So turnaround time is waiting time is equal to turnaround time minus service time. Okay, so this is how we are calculating the waiting time. So now let's look at the problem. So the problem program. Okay, so the program okay, so this is a program. Okay, so hash include str, we are seeing a C program here. Okay, so I'm explaining C program. So first what I'm doing is I'm taking a structure procedure. Okay, so before that let me see what is the output, then I'll go for the program. So here, see here, enter your choice. So when choice is 1, enter the number of process. The process is 3. Okay, so enter the burst time. You need to enter the burst time, for example 5 to 4, and arrival time 0, 1, 2. Okay, so next we are calculating the arrival time, you're calculating the waiting time, turnaround time and the completion time. Okay, we are calculating the average waiting time and average turnaround time. So here burst time is 5 to 4, so waiting time is 205 and turnaround time is so what is turnaround time? Turnaround time is service time plus waiting time. So see here, burst time is 5 and waiting time is 2, so turnaround time becomes 7. So 2 plus 0 it becomes 2, 4 plus 5 it becomes 9. Okay, so our waiting time, I said it is turnaround time minus service time. So 7 minus 5 is 2, here 2 minus 2 is 0, 9 minus 4 is 5. Okay, so the completion time here in the shortest remaining time first, turnaround time and completion time will differ, but whereas in round robin it is same. Okay, so this is for the round robin. You can see here turnaround time and burst time. Okay, and average is total divided by total number of process, burst time is total divided by total number of process. So this is how we are calculating. So students, let's look at the program here. And so first what I'm doing is hash include str.h. I'm taking a structure. Okay, so I'm taking a structure. Hope everyone knows what is the syntax of structure. So struct is a keyword and a procedure. PROC is the name of the structure. So these are the members of the structure. So identifier of type integer, arrival of type integer, burst time burst integer. So I'm taking all variable, reminder integer, wait integer, finish integer, turnaround time it's of integer, and I'm taking a variable ratio of type float. Okay, and here I'm the structure size I'm taking 10. Okay, so what happens is in process 0 dot id, how to access this process 0 dot id, process 0 dot arrival, process 0 dot burst, process 0 dot reminders. Okay, till process 0 dot ratio. Similarly process 1 dot id, process 1 dot arrival, so I can access from process 0 to process 9. So this is a structure to hold all the process information. Okay, so how to call the struct process and okay temp. Okay, so now I need two functions, that is check process function and next process. So I'm just declaring here global, I'm declaring check process and the next process. So and one more two function declaration here, round robin, and so here in the entire program we need two function. So one function is to calculate the shortest remaining time first, one more is to find round robin. Okay, so we need two things, two scheduling algorithm, SRT shortest remaining time first and round robin. Okay, so now let's begin the program main. Okay, so main I'm the ntq or of type integer, and I need array of type integer, that is bt array, service time array, and I need three variable ijk. Okay, so burst time, service time, of array size is 10. Okay, so next for, so for two semicolons. So what is the meaning of this is, so this is similar to while one. Okay, so that means it will execute this until it is true. That is the meaning. Okay, for two semicolons means it is same as while one, so this will execute until it is true. Okay, now enter the choice, enter the choice. So there are three things, one is round robin, one is SRT, one more is exit. Okay, so the first, so in the output I showed first as SRT, no problem, you can interchange this. I can give one as SRT or two as round robin. Okay, but here I'll explain what it is here, same thing. So here one round robin, two is SRT, shortest remaining time first, and three is exit. So in scanf, enter the choice. Okay, switch to choice. So case 1 it is round robin, case 2 it is SRTF, and case 3 is exit. Okay, so now the choice, when you press 1 2 3 it will be stored in the variable called choice. So now go to switch statement, case 1 round robin scheduling algorithm. So enter the number of process. Okay, so here any both algorithm you need to, what is the total number of process, you need the arrival time and also you need the service time, right? So enter the number of process. So it is kind of %d %n. So enter the service time. Okay, so you are reading three service time. If it is three process means you are reading three service time. So you are using for loop. For I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus scanf. So BT 0 contains the first service time. So B1 second service time, B2 second third service time. Okay, so BT0 contains first service time, B1, BT1 and BT2. So what you need to do is to store it in ST. Okay, because later you will be modifying the service time. What we need to do is in round robin, if it is 2 unit means each time we need to reduce it by to 2, right? So we are changing it later. So what we'll do is first we'll copy that burst time into ST of I. Okay, so now what ST of I and BT of I both are same, it is known as service time and burst time. Okay, so you'll be reading BT0, BT of 1, BT of 2, and you're storing in ST of 0, ST of 1, ST of 2. Okay, it contains service time. So next you need to enter the time quantum. Read the quantum. Okay, that means time slice. So we call it as a time slice or TQ, time quantum. Okay, now you're calling the function round robin. You're calling the function round robin. So you're calling with 4 parameter. They are n, TQ, ST and BT. So you're calling function round robin. So the round robin here, calling the function with 4 parameter, that is n, tq, st and bt. Okay, what is n? Total number of process. What is tq? It is a time slice. Okay, so here n is a total number of process, tq is a given time slice. What is st? It is a service time, and bt is a burst time. Okay, and st and bt, now it is same. Okay, so it contains st0, st1, st2, bt0, bt1, bt2, both are same now. Okay, now get inside the round robin function. So here initial time is 0, and we need two arrays, t80 array size is 10 and waiting time array size is 10, and we need a variable I count sw2 as it is to store the average turnaround time, temp, and sq0 jk, and we need some floating variable to store aw2, that is average waiting time and average turnaround time. Okay, so until it is true, what we are doing is we are for loop I equal to 0, count equal to 0 until it is less than n. So store the time quantum in one variable called temp1. Okay, when the service time of the process equals to 0, okay, when the service time of process equals to 0, if it is 0, okay, so when the service time will be 0, so once it completes the entire thing, right, until once it is completes its entire scheduling, then only it can become 0. So if st of is 0, then increment count plus plus continue. Okay, if it is, so initially what is st of 0? For example, assume process 1 is service time is 5. So 5 is greater than time quantum, right? If it is 5 is greater than 2, okay, what we need to do? We need to reduce the service time. So for example, round robin, I said time slice is 2. So now 5 minus 2, it becomes 3. So service time becomes 5 minus 2 becomes 3. Okay, so otherwise, if it is for example, assume service time is 1 and time quantum is 2. So it is greater than 0, okay, but it is not greater than time quantum. So what we need to do is make a service time as 0. Okay, that means complete it. Okay, for example, assume the service time is 3, so 2 slices it will complete, only 1 unit is pending, means we should make it as in 0. Okay, so this is how we are doing. So this is simple, students. Here each time we should see whether the service time is greater than time quantum. If it is greater than time quantum, you are reducing the service time by 2. Okay, service time is equal to service time minus time quantum. So 5 is equal to 5 minus 2, 3. Okay, so again 3 is greater than 2, 3 minus 2 is 1. So here 1 is not greater than time quantum, but it is greater than 0. So now the service time becomes 0. So this is how we are doing round robin. Okay, so here next you calculate the SQ. Okay, turnaround time becomes calculate the average turnaround time and average waiting time. Okay, so until it is n equal to count, if n equal to count, that means until it completes, into stop it. So otherwise you calculate the waiting time and turnaround time of the each process. How to calculate it? Waiting time is equal to turnaround time plus time. Okay, and so and it is summation of waiting time is equal to, first we need to summation of waiting time, then you are taking average. So summation of waiting time plus, so waiting time of ti, and summation of turnaround time is equal to summation of turnaround time plus turnaround time of ai. So this you are executing a for loop. So first it will be bt0, then it will be bt1, then it will be bt2. So this is a for loop we are doing. So we are just calculating summation of waiting time and summation of turnaround time. So how to calculate the average? So average is equal to summation divided by total number of process. So average waiting time is equal to summation of waiting time divided by n, summation of turnaround time divided by n. Okay, so it is a floating point, so divided by n. So next you print the process number, burst time, waiting time and turnaround time. So this it will print the table, process number, burst time, waiting time and turnaround time. So using for loop you will print all the data according to in this order. So you can see here, first is a process number i plus 1, because I is equal to 0. So first is P1, right? So it is P0 plus P1. First process P1, next P2, next P3. So BT0, BT1, BT2, W20, W1, W2, turnaround 0, turnaround 10, turnaround 2. Next it will print average waiting time, average turnaround time. So you can see here the parameter AWT and average turnaround time. So this is about the round robin algorithm. Okay, so the round algorithm when if the choice is 1. if the choice is 1. Okay, now if the choice is 2, okay, in case 2 we'll see what is case 2. In case 2 it is shortest remaining time first, so enter the number of process, scanf, you're calling SRTF with only one parameter. Okay, you're calling shortest remaining time first with one parameter, so this is your function SRTF with one parameter. So assume 3, okay, you're calling for 3 process, so shortest remaining time first is 3. Okay, so it is IJK time equal to 0, float turnaround time average, and waiting time average. Okay, so here you need to read the arrival time and the burst time of the process. Okay, so you can see a for loop here, I equal to 1, I less than I plus plus, so process I is equal to D, enter the arrival time of the process. Okay, so enter the burst time of the process 1. Okay, so here process 0 dot arrival, process 0 dot burst, process 1 dot arrival, process 1 dot burst, process 2 dot arrival, process 2 dot burst. So here there you store that burst time into service time, right? So here we are storing process 1 I dot burst is equal to process I dot remainder. Okay, REM. So here process 0 dot burst is equal to process 0 dot remainder, process 1 dot burst is equal to process 1 dot remainder, and process 2 dot burst is equal to process 2 dot remainder. Okay, so because burst time later we are changing it, so we are saving it in some other array, that is process I dot remainder. Okay, next what we're doing is using 2 for loop, we are sorting the process according to the arrival. For example, P1, P2, P3, if P2 comes first, arrival time is 0, P1 is 1, then we need to interchange it, right? So we know what is the code to swap 2 variables. So we are using temporary variable, you can see here, using 2 for loop, I equal to 1, I less than I plus plus, j equal to 1, I plus 1, j less than n. So using the temporary variable, we are swapping 2 process in case if it arrival time is not according to the order. Okay, so if the arrival time of the process is greater, then store the process I is equal to temp, process I is equal to process j is equal to temp. So this is nothing but like a swapping of 2 numbers, we are interchanging based on the arrival. Okay, arrival time. So next, n equal to 0, j equal to 1. So while chuck process, okay, so here you can see the 2 function, one is a chuck process, one more is a next process. So here we are calling chuck process if the chuck process n is equal to 1. Okay, so what is this chuck process? Chuck process is, this is a function to chuck the process remaining time is 0 or not. Okay, so if it is 0, then we are calling the finish function. If it is not 0, how to chuck? If process remainder, okay, that bus, what this process dot remainder contains, it contains a process dot burst time, right? So if it is not equal to 0, return 1. Okay, go to 1. So if this is 1, that means service time is not 0. Okay, service time is not 0. Next what we need to do is, if the process assume n0 is 0, process 0 dot arrival equal to time. Okay, so we need to increment number and we need to make it as a 0. Okay, so initially process burst time is initialism process 0, burst time, the remainder time is not equal to 0, right? We need to calculate the average waiting time. So how to calculate the first we need to calculate the waiting time, then go for calculating the average waiting time. So first here, when the burst time is not equal to 0, calculate the waiting time. So how to calculate the waiting time? For I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, if I is not equal to j, process I is not equal to remainder, then increment waiting time. Okay, otherwise finish, process j dot finish and not call the next process. Okay, so what does next process contain? So this is a function to identify the next process, which is the next process to execute. Okay, for example, after P0, which is the next process to execute? P1. So how we are writing this function? Next process, you are taking a value, you are setting the value. Here actually I have taken 32,000. This is a limit I have taken, so you can assume any value. Okay, this is just an assumption. I am checking whether remainder, the service time is not equal to 0 and whether it is less than minute, then minute is equal to process dot remainder. Okay, so using some using some assumption, I've taken this minute 32,000. I'm calculating which is the next process to execute. Okay, so here come from the next process, j is equal to next process, decreases time. So this will repeat. Okay, so this will repeat again. It will go to process. It will see. It will compare which is having an arrival time and which is having less arrival time, and it will be keep on executing. Okay, so once this is done, you need to print the arrival time, bus time, waiting finish and turnaround time. Okay, so here you will be printing all the data. So before printing you need to calculate all the turnaround time. What is turnaround time? Is equal to waiting time plus service time. So next you calculate the ratio by dividing it. Okay, so then calculate the average waiting time is equal to divide summation of turnaround time. Here you are doing summation of waiting line, and here finally you are calculating the average. Okay, average is equal to average divided by n. Average waiting time is equal to divided by n. Okay, so then print shortest remaining time is equal to average waiting time and waiting time. Okay, average waiting time. So this is how we are executing shortest remaining time first and round robin algorithm. Thank you.